fun to be out here on this field again. So a lot of encouraging things, a lot of work to do. Just a typical first practice, other than the fact that it was at 7:30 at night. So away.
How did it feel like maybe the player run practices had put you a little bit ahead?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't see any of them, so I don't know what they were doing. You know, it didn't feel like we were had lost any momentum in the sprint. So I would probably say yeah, but I didn't see any of them. But, I mean, I thought they just kind of jumped back into it and went going. Maybe that's the reason why.
How did you feel about the new fields, the facilities?
Oh, I love the facilities. It's great. I mean, there's obviously, there's things that are, that we'll have to adjust to as we go, as we relearn it, space issues and things like that. But it's great. The field is fine, and the facility's amazing. So it's fun to be back out here. It just feels good to be in an enclosed space. It just makes it feel more cohesive, I guess.
Who's 27 blue?
Running back?
Josh Kelly.
Let's go. We always ask you this after the first one. Anyone jump out at you? We have to ask it.
I knew you were going to ask me.
Yeah.
Not really. I was watching more like procedure and things like that rather than the individuals. Greg Rogers kind of jumped out at me, and Martin Andrews kind of jumped out at me. And two interior defensive linemen. But other than that, I was watching kind of too many things. When I watch the film tomorrow, or tonight, probably tomorrow, then you'll see things that you didn't really see with the naked eye out here.
Are there things you're doing to kind of make this like San Bernardino way? I think a lot of kids say they're not going to get in their cars and going in and out. Or are there kind of rules of engagement here that are kind of like a training camp? Or?
Well, right now it's hard because they are still in school, so they're in the dorms, and when they move into Luskin on Friday, then that changes the environment. Right now, they go to the dorm, so we don't really have control of that, and that's unlike we've ever had before, because we've never started camp when school's been in session. So there's some challenges with that, but once we get to Friday, it's when you're in, you're here. It's unless we decide that you have, and really they're not going to have time to do that. It's going to be a really full day. And I believe when they're not working or at meetings, they'll probably be laying down. So.
You're going to have speakers come in and do like team bonding stuff? You did that in the past, like they went to Malibu Creek and stuff like that.
Oh no, you mean when we went to Bruin Woods? Yeah, we went to Bruin Woods. No, we're not going to do that. We always do things. We bring people in and a lot of different types of player programs and training and things like that. But we have some things that we're going to do. I think the most important thing though is that they have this building where they can congregate and spend time around each other, and I think that's going to be the most important part of this.
It didn't look like Soso Jamabo got too much action in 11-on-11s at the end of practice. Is he doing okay?
No, he worked all day. Yeah, it could have just been rotation.
I know you can't comment individually on recruiting, but it seems like you picked up a lot of momentum recently. Does it feel good, and maybe this new building is already kind of paying off in a sense?
I think the new building is just very impressive to everybody that walks through it or walks by it, and it, the families of our players when they came in here Sunday, they were just blown away by it. And I think anyone that has a chance to go in there and say, this is going to be my home for 4 years, it's pretty impressive. So without commenting on recruiting, I'll say it's pretty impressive.
What did your dad think of it?
He hasn't seen it yet.
Okay.
He did not want to see it until it was finished. He's one of those guys, I don't want to see it until it's done, So, and he didn't come over for the grand opening, so I'll show it to him when he gets here. He'll like it. It's hard, really not. It's hard not to like, and they're still working on it. There's so many great things that are still going to happen to it. It's really not finished yet, and every time you walk through it, it's just more spectacular. So it's pretty fun to have. I was standing back here and looking at it during practice. 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, it was just this kind of dream. And sit there and look at it, it's like, wow, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It seems kind of like perfect conditions for football practice.
Yeah, than the fact that it's 10:30 at night right now, you know, and these guys have got to get up and be in meetings at 6:30 in the morning, and then they've got school all day and come back. This is a grind for these guys these next 3 days. You know, I think that, as I said a couple times in the last week or so, I think the NCAA made the right decision with regards to eliminating two-a-days, but adding the time on the front end makes it very challenging because these kids are pressured now. They're in finals. You know, they have papers and finals due over the next 2 days, and then they've got to start a camp. So, you know, we're trying to, you know, be considerate of their time and trying to be concerned with player safety, and yet we're putting this enormous load on them for 3 or 4 days, and it's very challenging. You know, and you know, they just push through it. They grind. They're great kids, and you know, I think once we get to Saturday, and we have more time, you know, we really be great.
How would you not have 2 days, but still not have to tack on that extra week in front to maintain the same number of practices that you would need to get ready for
I don't know. I mean, obviously, you know, nobody asked me, so I can tell you. I don't know.
You didn't have to think of a solution, so.
No, I mean, I had to think of a solution because we had to come out here and practice, but I don't know. You know, I don't know the answer to that. It's tough. It's you know, it's not for me to decide. I guess I can only decide how we can function within the rules. But I think that in general, my belief is that it's okay not to have two-a-days. You know, in the long run, I think it's the correct decision to make. But it's challenging just because they're student athletes, and we have to respect the fact that they have to go to class. You know, they have to be prepared for their study, their tests, and they have papers due. And, you know, I mean, there's a number of these guys I'm sure will leave here and they'll go study for a couple hours, and then they'll be back in meetings at 6:30 in the morning. You know, and that's a grind. So.
Even though you said you didn't look at a lot of players, I think maybe you'd cheat and take a few minutes and look at Sonny Adogu.
I watched him. I thought he did a nice job, and I thought Stefan did well. You know, I hadn't seen Stefan at all because he hasn't been around all summer, and you could tell that he hasn't been in a strength and conditioning and mostly conditioning program. But I know this is, you know, when I did look at him, his athleticism and his footwork were, you know, just what I thought they'd be. So he's got a long ways to go, and it obviously hurt him not being able to be part of the summer program. But I expect him to catch up quickly.
And Mike physically looks a little bit better, like he's getting in better shape.
Yeah, I think he's doing fine. You know, I mean, it's been a long road for him, and I respect the fact that he's just continued to push and stay committed. And you know, he's gone through some things that a lot of young people go through, and he's coming out the other side in a positive way. And I'm encouraged by it. I'm happy for him. You know, I'm excited about his attitude and the good things are starting to happen to him.
Molson, I think, was perfect today. You talked earlier about his, with him talking to Anderson about some things. Does he seem like kind of a renewed sense of confidence right now?
It started really right after the season. He just sat down, and I think he'd be a great guy for you guys to talk to. It's pretty neat what he's done. Is he's really created a great structure and routine for himself, and it really started in January. And then the final piece, really, of the routine and the structure was just the introduction that I was able to make between he and Morton. I coached Morton in New Orleans and coached him in Atlanta when he had finished his career. And I just reached out to Morton and said, I have a really talented young man that, you know, admires you and would love to talk to you. And Morton, because he's Morton and he's such a generous guy, immediately got with JJ. And JJ will tell you about it, but he's got, you know, notes and pages of notes from talking to Morton about the mental aspect of preparation, the routine, you know, all of the things that Morton did that's, you know, enabled him to be a guy going into the Hall of Fame this weekend. It's pretty cool. And I think we'll have him come out here for a couple days and be around our team, and he wants to do that, so it'll be good for JJ.
You talked about things being tricky with this being the tail end of Summer Session A. Are any of these guys enrolled in C-Sesh classes?
I don't even know what
C-Sesh, that's the next session, the next
No.
summer session lasts next week. None of them are enrolled.
Okay, guys
sorry.
good?
I didn't. When I was in school, none of us went to summer school, you know? So I didn't know what C-session was. Yeah.
You guys good?
All right.